What up, guys and girls? Another brand new video coming at you today. And we are back for some more Spec F1 esports content, but this time something a little bit different that we haven't seen probably for a fair while on the channel. Welcome to the Classic Series here for Season 4. This is actually the third round of the season here in the Spec F1 esports Classic F1 Classics Series, as it's better known as. This is basically, well, if you haven't quite get it already, it's basically a series about classic cars. So it's majority, well, some people like to know, or well, not know, but tend to race. It's obviously on F1 2020 that a majority of the old cars, like say, or like this car that we're driving right now, like the good old Schumacher cars, or the old Fernando Alonso, or the Ayrton Senna. There's probably some others like Sebastian Vettel's car from 2010, or the Fernando Alonso car from 2010. There's plenty of classic cars anyway, but this is a series that's been going on for a little while. Now, of course, I will point out, I won't be obviously making a lot of these rounds, obviously, because it does clash a bit with the Trans Nations Esports F2 League that I already do. So, that's, yeah, every now and again, whenever the TNE has their sort of the week break that makes sense, then I'll come and do this Classic Series if it's on at the same time. So, we're here. You can see we're just about to finish our flying, pretty much this is our fastest lap around the Bahrain circuit in a classic 2004 F2004 Ferrari. As we come across the line, we go 7th fastest. I wasn't really expecting too much, to be honest. I mean, this is just a little bit of fun, just something a little bit different. And, for some people, just get out of the F1 cars. You just, if you want to just get away from the F1 cars for a little bit, which pretty much majority of us here are accustomed to, then you can just have a little bit of a drive. So pretty much Plebs is got pole position there, absolutely dominant. He's been dominating this series so far. Well, after pretty much I joined round 3, it was a 30.098 for Plebs there. And you can see, obviously, it's got its fair share of mixture of different different nationalities because, well, to put it basically, if there was talk about trying to do it like region by region by region, if that makes sense. So like do a Pacific Classic Series, a Euro, and even a America Series. But of course, the numbers didn't really stack up for like having a sort of region by region. So felt it better to just go all in one, if that makes sense. So there's the calendar series. So obviously we're up to round 3. This video is ages very old, by the way, I should point out. So yeah, it's, obviously going to different tracks in different cars. For some tracks it might be for suitable cars that may have been, well, around at that time. Obviously, for some cars, the circuits may have changed a little bit over time, to say the least. So, it's going to be something a little bit different.
I think I've ever driven this
2004 might be
car.
another couple, maybe 1 or 2 more rounds I could participate in, but we'll see how we go here. So, hopefully we're starting from P7 in this race. So here we go. Let's have some fun around here in the 2004 Ferrari. 5 red lights. Let's do it around the Sakia International Circuit. And it's a decent-ish start. Someone's had an absolute shocking start there. May have actually slammed the wall there. I will apologise very, as I get out a little bit of a nudge there.
Hit me
into turn 1 as we're just taking it nice and cautiously. That's in the foreground there. As we're going side by side here. I will apologise straight away that some of these gamer tags, it's a bit hard to tell from my previous screen, so I'll stuff up a few gamer tags. I sincerely apologise. Let's jump a line, and we just going a little bit sideways there. We're going side by side here with, I can't actually read, like I said before. It'd be a bit hard for some of the gamer tags. We're right behind jumper liners. We just maybe give him a little bit of a nudge. Now, obviously,
don't worry around international drivers. You've got to make sure you don't hit them up the arse, otherwise.
Yeah, the connections around the world is a little bit different compared to like Australian internet. And obviously, myself being from a country, I get it. My internet's not the best at the best times anyway. So. But saying that, Australia's internet speeds are not the greatest either compared to international. So it's always going to be a little bit tricky. So we're
no DRS
going to make do what we do anyway. So on lap to lap 2, Got a bit more straight line speed by the looks of things here on jumper line. And we might have a little look at a turn one. Try to break as deep as we can. There's a little bit of contact and we end up going for a half spin. I don't actually know if jumper liner was affected too badly from that one. So
you just never know where to break in these things.
Continue to push on here. So I think there's somebody else had a spin there. So you saw us earlier on with the drivers. I mean, there was a plan of it, obviously, to have like a full grid, but of course not everybody can commit week by week or whenever the Classic Series is on, that, you know, people can race in this series, if that makes sense. So it's always going to be a little bit tricky, that is a little bit tricky, getting a little bit sideways coming out of turn 8. So it'd just be vary depending on, you know, availability of drivers and whatnot, like the numbers wise. So but anyway, we're still pushing on. We're catching up to this guy here who's a gamer tag. Is not really showing as we lock up the rears once again. It's always tricky as well in the classic cars that, well, compared to the normal F1 cars, that, well, the braking might necessarily, well, it might be a little bit different compared to the F1 cars, and I think it maybe tend to more lock the rears in these cars compared to the normal F1 cars, as we get the run on this guy here, who's, like I said, gamer tag's not showing, which is seems to be maybe a little bit of a glitch on F1 2020, whenever either somebody joins late or sometimes when somebody disconnects and then rejoins, that the gamer tag won't show again. So it's a little bit of an issue. Hopefully it gets rectified in later games, but we're still putting pressure here. This is for 8th spot, as we lock the rears again, nearly slamming to the back of the guy in 8th, but we managed to just get away with that one. We're still trying to push on here. Obviously, we're not here to win the race, let's be honest. We're just here to just have a bit of fun, and we nearly lose the rear end coming up the back there of that guy. I think that's Flavius behind us, if I'm not mistaken. Like I said, I do apologise if I get it wrong, as we go very sideways coming into turn 10. And I was tending to do that, well, quite a bit to start with, because obviously I hadn't built up quite the rhythm, as you can see once again, getting a little bit wider as well. But later into this race, I started to build a little bit more confidence with the braking. You'll see that maybe a little bit later on. I think it is Flavius behind us. I'm not actually 100%. There's that guy in front of us had a shocking run out of the first couple of corners. So we're going to try go around the outside into turn 4. It's on lap 4, but we go for lose the rear end, and it's just all gone. Yeah. We try to catch it once again, but it doesn't really quite work out. And to make matters worse, we get a 3-second time penalty, which I felt was very hard done by, if I'm honest. But you know, I mean, what can you do about it? I was tempted to get it removed, but I don't think I did in the end. There's a yellow flag. I think Rogue Flash is retired in the pit lane for some unknown reason, so I'm not sure whether he's got damage or what. But that's his race down and dusted, so we're down to 10 runners. So basically, if we all finish, then we all score points. So now putting pressure here on Flavius. There's a little bit of contact here. And I think we just managed to get away with all of that. So just give him a little bit of weave to just to let him know my frustration, to say the least, not be too thrilled. I mean, there probably wasn't much that Flavius could do there otherwise, so anyway, we'll just now try and push on back up to this guy up here. This gamer tag is still not showing as we continue to lock the rears, but we managed to just, well, pretty much point it in the right direction going out of turn 8. So it's at a bonus, but in the end we did lose the spot back to Flavius. So not ideal to say the least anyway, but towards the end of the lap we did obviously try to keep on to the back of him to keep the pressure on him here. He's obviously going to go for the inside line. We're getting a strategy change already to maybe just pit, I think, 1 lap earlier compared to what it is for a normal pit stop. But we have the inside line for this one into turns 2 and 3, and we get the move done back again on Flavius. Now, pretty much back here and then as well in the classic cars, it's just pretty much, I think, basically everyone's on the same tyre. Although, saying the least, obviously, the different cars in the different eras. I mean, these day and age, obviously everyone's on the same Pirelli compound tyre, but of course back then, I remember sort of in the early 2000s looking at season reviews that, you know, they had Bridgestone runners and you'd have Michelin runners, as we finally, I think, going to get past this guy for 7th place. Gamer Tag, whose name will be He Who Must Not Be Named. Nice Harry Potter reference there, but trying to leave you a little bit of space there, and I think we do get the move done. But yeah, basically, you know, like some cars would have the Bridgestone, like these. Obviously, when Ferrari back in 2004, when basically their dominant era in the early 2000s, this would sort of be the way they have the Bridgestones and the Michelin runners, and everybody would be trying to like beat each other on, you know, the different rubber. But I think in the game, I don't think it's quite the same. And this, I think it's just basically all the same compound of tyre potentially, so it doesn't really matter too much. But it's pretty much the same for the normal pit stops. You can see the tyre where it's really starting to burn up quite a bit. SFR Calvin Racing has pitted, so that the previous lap, but then Blocky and can't really read who it is in 5th place there. I do apologise, like I mentioned. But yeah, everybody who's watching this video will be able to see on the top left of the screen who's doing what. So as both Plebs and Stone Towel, I think, come in as we do the exact same thing, but we accidentally
too quick
speeded into the pit lane just a little bit too fast there. By about 4K, I think we're about over, or maybe just a bit more worse. But, you know, just a pretty much normal pit stop there. So, and we should, I think, come out in fresh air compared to where everybody else is on the track. Obviously, everyone's got their different, like, assist and whatnot, so there'll obviously be gaps, to say the least, and I think Plebs is still leading the way. So we just take it nice and cautiously. We've got quite a margin, actually, over Flavius. I think it's only like 20-odd seconds, maybe, roughly, back to the next car behind. So we have a purple sector in Sector 1 on starting lap 18, which really I wasn't really expecting, to say the least. Whether that's still a glitch or not, I'm not 100% sure.
Take it if it's the fastest first sector.
Yeah, like I said, then I was going to absolutely take that as we absolutely bottle it wide, go through turn 10. So that attempt of going for the fastest lap was pretty much just gone down the drain. There's a yellow flag in the foreground. Somebody's had a spin. By the look of the graphic, it looks like Jumper Line, and I think it's the one that's had a spin there, so probably not ideal for him. But there's a few guys going past us. There's actually, I think, a battle here as we get another time penalty in this race, so that's 6 seconds now. So I think probably at this point, maybe later on, unless as we have a big moment of losing the rear end once again. So I'm just telling myself just to not lock the rears. So obviously, like I said, it's a lot trickier in these cars. But if basically with the penalties as well, if I was in a pretty much a comfortable position, then I probably wasn't going to end up losing the getting rid of penalties anyway. There's been a collision here because Stone Towel and SFF Calvin Racing, I think, have had kind of coming together. So that's an easy free 2 spots there. So that puts us now into position 5 here. So I'm not sure exactly what happened to those two. But we move on a couple of laps here, and these two are still battling away in front with Jumpalainen and Blocky Rex, battling for basically the podium spot here. Because I think the top two have just pretty much pulled away at this point in time. I think it would not surprise me. I think if Plevs is somewhere in the 2nd sector. I could be wrong at this point in time, because he's known as a classic car specialist, I think he would like to call himself. But we're just giving the pressure up here on this battle. So we've run it very wide there. How I didn't get a warning, I seriously don't know, although this game is so weird at the best of times. So again, just trying to put the pressure here on Blocky into turn 10 as he runs it onto the curb. We thought we'd have a good enough run, which we still might do, but we had a little bit of a moment coming to turn 10 as well. But we've got a nice run here on Blocky on the inside. Think about it, but think better of it into turn 11. So we might have to bide our time for the time being. This Jumper Line has actually started to pull away here. We move a lap later on. There's a lap car there. Flavius there, I think it was, in the being one of the lap cars. So he's not having the greatest of days. So he's just pulling out of everybody's way, even though obviously in this series, ghosting is on, to say the least, as we go for another spin. Pretty much doing what we did on lap 2 or 3. And that's just ruined all our momentum on the back of Blocky there. That it's now just given Stone Towel, old Prezzo behind us, a little bit more momentum here as well. As we bowled very wide here once again. How fitting as well, I should point out as well, if you haven't noticed, on the steering wheel that I'm actually using the Michael Schumacher gloves that I think that's part of the Michael Schumacher DLC on this game. So how fitting to run the gloves on in this car. But here we go, lap 24. And into turn 1, I think I get a little bit of a nudge. As I said, I actually say I got hit. So, and obviously Stone Towers dropped away. I gave a little bit of a weave because obviously I didn't like that to say the least. So, yeah, well, at the time, I think it felt like a bit of a touch, but I'm not really 100% sure. Maybe Stone Tail if he's watching, as
where the hell am I going?
having a little bit of a coughing fit, ended up giving me another 3-second time penalty. So that's not ideal, to say the least.
Nice when you have a coughing fit.
Yeah, well, to say the least as well. These races are at 8 a.m. in the morning, I think, as well. 7, 8 a.m. in the morning. So, yeah, and you probably would have seen during qualifying, I was actually still finishing off my breakfast. Well, the cereal anyway. So, yeah, it was certainly a little bit tricky, to say the least. So that might have been part of my coughing fit. But as we just catch the rear end once again to go into turn 1. We managed to survive it only just. But Blocky and somebody else in the foreground. Again, I sincerely apologise. I can't read the game of tags very well. I can't really tell, but they're having a little bit of a ding-dong battle here for third and fourth here. And then there's a car off in the infield. I think that's Blocky. It is Blocky. So I think they may have had a bit of a coming together, whether that is actual contact itself or whether lag was a factor in that one. Not really 100% too sure on that one, but obviously I tried my best to push on to try and get third, but I don't really think we'll be getting there.
It's all right, Jeff.
To the end, as Stone Towel has actually left the session here, as pretty much crosses the line and has pretty much won the Bahrain Grand Prix in the F2004. But that actually saved me, I think, a little bit here. Well, when I say that, it saved me to say the least, because had I finished, obviously we'd have crossed the line now and finished P4, but obviously had Stone Towel remained in the lobby, I reckon, well, obviously it says I'll drop back to P5 in the end anyway, so but I reckon he still would have had me nonetheless.
Driver of the day, lovely.
To get P4, but we get the driver of the day, which obviously coming from 7th place up into fifth, fourth, you can say the least. That's a pretty handy drive. Just something a little bit different in these cars anyway. So there's plenty of different other classic cars that is going on in this calendar. But like I mentioned before, this is pretty much some old footage from F1 2020 days. So there wasn't too many others. I think I may have competed in one other event in this calendar. So I didn't obviously take part in all of these, like I mentioned before. So there's the podium. So Plebs, I think, obviously won the Grand Prix. Pretty much dominant victory. I think he nearly won by 25 or nearly 30 odd seconds. The job line in the second, and yeah, I can't really read that guy in third place. And obviously, well, Stone Towel, AI car finished fourth there myself, and Blocky, I think, sixth, and then you could see where everybody else finished up and down the field. So, yeah, hopefully you enjoyed something a little bit different, a bit of F1 classic cars on the channel. If you did, be sure to give it a big smash on that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Go follow me on my social media channels. They're down in the description. Plus, I'll leave the links below for the Spec social channels, for their Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I think they've got a Facebook, their YouTube and their Twitch channels as well. If you want to come and join the Discord, there should be a link down in the description below. So pretty much they've got a few series, I think, going on, or just about to start actually. So if you want to come and join it, by all means head to the Discord link. But till the next time we see Spec F1 Esports Classic Series, it is goodbye, and I'll see you all next time.